I wanted to take a second and do something that I don't really do on this channel, and that is look at a first round mock draft at the entire NFL level. Basically, everything that I do here on the channel is Chiefs content, so I'm not taking into account anything that anybody else does. But I wanted to give this a go because there are some things that I think are worth gleaning here. This is a first-round mock draft from PFF. I do not believe that there was a specific designated author, so I just wanted to take things from the top here. There are 4 quarterbacks taken in this first round. Cam Ward here, number 1 overall to the Titans. Everybody is kind of in agreement over that. Then Shedeur Sanders, number 3 to the Giants. Okay. I can understand that 1,000%. Jackson Dart, number 9 to the Saints. This is a Bo Nix type move. They are betting the farm on a Jackson Dart and assuming that they are correct on that prospect. And then you have 21, Jalen Milroe, going to the Steelers. This is a case, so I did a video not too long ago talking about the number of quarterbacks that might go in the first round, and I said there's always someone who falls in love with a player that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. For me, that would be Jalen Milroe in the first round. I think that is very rich for a quarterback. Probably the same thing with Jackson Dart. If I were the Saints, I would not be taking Jackson Dart. But those 2 quarterbacks sneak into the first round of this NFL draft. Now, moving on to tackle, because that is a very popular position for the Kansas City Chiefs. This mock draft does have the Chiefs taking a tackle, Josh Simmons at 31, and they say this about the selection. After the Chiefs' lackluster offensive showing in Super Bowl 59, it became apparent that upgrading their offensive line should be their top priority. Simmons has the ideal size for an NFL tackle at 6'5", 317 pounds, with 33-inch arms. He had an injury-shortened season in 2024, but earned an 82.0 PFF pass blocking grade before getting hurt. Josh Simmons in the first round for the Kansas City Chiefs. I think that's a pretty good deal. I would not be against that at all. Here's something that gives me pause with this draft. We've talked about 4 quarterbacks going. There's been, in this draft, 5 offensive tackles in the first round. The 5th being, of course, Josh Simmons to the Kansas City Chiefs with the penultimate pick in the first round of the NFL draft. I want you to guess how many wide receivers, if you haven't already noticed, were taken in the first round of this mock draft. And by the way, I don't think that the first round of this mock draft is crazy in any way. I think that this is a very realistic scenario for this draft 1. Tetairoa McMillan here at 12 overall to the Cowboys. That is the only wide receiver taken in this draft at that point. Now, what does that mean? Who cares? Well, here's the thing. The Chiefs do have a left tackle coming into this season. They just signed one. He's maybe not proven. Certainly, he's more proven than Josh Simmons. Is his ceiling as high? Maybe not. He is certainly more proven at the NFL level, but the Kansas City Chiefs would be taking this selection at 31 with Emeka Egbuka, Luther Burden, and Matthew Golden all on the board. All of those guys are still on the board, so you're going to draft the 5th best offensive tackle or the 2nd best wide receiver. Should these talents be so should Josh Simmons actually be who the Chiefs have graded as the 5th best offensive tackle, and that he's not just there because of an injury-shortened season, something like that, right? Should the Chiefs have him as the 5th ranked offensive tackle? I don't think they take him. If Luther Burden, Emeka Egbuka, and Matthew Golden are all on the board at 31, and so is Josh Simmons, guys, they might trade back 2 or 3 times just to see who the last man standing is and sweep him up. So that's very interesting, though, that one wide receiver was taken in the first round of this draft, and it doesn't look all that crazy to me. The wild thing about wide receivers in the first round is that this has been a trend on the rise lately. So why aren't there any of these wide receivers taken in the first round here? Just Tetairoa McMillan? Well, it's a couple things, and it's a couple things that make it real interesting. So number one, some of the value there for these guys, for example, Emeka Egbuka I thought he was going to be a Blazer. He was not a Blazer. Runs a decent 40, not a Blazer. Luther Burden has the problem with his production sliding late in his career. I don't blame Luther Burden for that. And then Matthew Golden has a couple of different issues. Kind of a late bloomer, really. Had some hands issues before this past season. Did he just have a fluky good season, or was he kind of getting over it, if you will? So, and there's a couple small things with Matthew Golden, sort of around the edges. So, looking at that group, I mean, for example, the Kansas City Chiefs took a wide receiver last year. Do they really need a wide receiver this year? There have been many wide receivers go in the first round of the past few drafts. Drafting another wide receiver here, if you just took one last year, would seem like giving up on someone, would seem like a redundancy, would seem as if you don't know what it is that you are doing. GMs face backlash from the fan bases all the time. Brett Veach, however, does not have a hot seat in Kansas City, regardless of what you see on Twitter. So, should Luther Burden, Emeka Egbuka, and Matthew Golden all fall to 31 while and whereas it is the 5th best offensive tackle still available, I think they might go wide receiver. In this first round, 5 offensive tackles, like I just said, went. 5 cornerbacks were drafted in this first round. That is a very interesting development for this class. 2 linebackers went in the first round of this draft class. Jalen Walker and Jihad Campbell. Both went in the first round while and whereas, but a single wide receiver went in the first round. Now, we talked about the Chiefs maybe taking a wide receiver for a couple different reasons earlier. Here's an interesting fact. Or maybe it's not a fact. Maybe it's an opinion. Maybe it's an observation. Maybe I'm just wrong outright. Brett Veach sure likes to zig while others are zagging. There's 2 linebackers taken in the first round of this draft. Does not happen all the time. Linebacker is kind of a sort of, what would you say, diminished position in the NFL at this time. There are 5 offensive linemen taken in the first round of this draft. There are 7 edge players taken in the first round of this draft. 7 edge, 5 offensive tackles, 5 cornerbacks, 2 linebackers, but a single wide receiver. It appears that the next evolution in the NFL game is back towards the big bodies. Brett Veach, diagnosing that, seeing that coming, might be willing to pull the trigger on something very, very fast, a Matthew Golden of the world, if you will. Luther Burden, plenty fast. Emeka Egbuka, plenty fast. But with the seeming evolution of the NFL in micro parts, right? Getting a little bit bigger here. A couple linebackers in the first round here. 7 edge players in the first round there. These sorts of things, right? These are one of the ways that the sort of secular level NFL changes. And Brett Veach loves to be ahead of that curve. And he's already got 3 speedy wide receivers on the Chiefs. Getting another one might help him stay ahead of that curve. That is all I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting a like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other Kansas City Chiefs fans. If you find yourself here by chance but not design, the Chiefs are the only thing I talk about on this channel, dropping multiple videos every single week. We are over 2 years of consecutive daily uploads, and as always, I hope to have you back for the next one.